Dr. Kennelly Ho, who is a designated stroke lead from the Division of Neurology, and I are both co-chairs for the Fraser Health Stroke Strategy Committee. We're comprised of leaders from all programs, which include Emerge, medicine, primary, rehab, home health, and we meet monthly to review regional indicators and develop strategies to improve best practice across the region. We look at access. We're looking at how, if one of our goals is to have equal access for all residents within the health authority, we need to look at that regionally. We look at quality, so we get the indicators. We're developing a stroke scorecard, and we're developing the stroke care expertise across the authority and improving standardization, which would include pre-printed orders and stroke care pathway, and an organized way of gathering the groups together, including the rehab and our cohort units together.
So as a manager, I'm actually in a very fortunate position where I get to work on a day-to-day basis with my frontline team and hear the issues and work collaboratively with them to try to find a way and to develop ways in order to meet best patient care for stroke. In addition to sitting at the operational and frontline level, I'm also privileged enough to sit at the regional level and look at the regional initiatives and how those all play into the individual patient care.
So I think that the clinical practice leader's role is to not necessarily be the expert on everything in that profession, but have a very broad foundation of that knowledge, skill set, but also be available to anyone within that professional practice.
As you go along. The challenge with my role, because that's one of my roles as a clinical supervisor, is to get people's knowledge up to date, keeping sure it's up to date, keeping sure that we're getting best practice. But I myself carry a full-time caseload, so in order to do that teaching,
with the team, medically, functionally, if there's any social issues, the patient care coordinator typically is the central point of contact. And during rounds when we're assessing barriers to discharge, the patient care coordinator can help delegate a member of Allied Health, whether it's social work or OT or PT, to work towards addressing those barriers and getting our patients on the road to recovery and getting them home.
When we started collecting data for the stroke unit as an occupational therapist, I assisted in determining what measurement tools we were going to use, assessment that's more evidence-based, and so we collected
What a wonder. Pathologists themselves are members of a number of different teams, and so they will bring back information that they get from their meetings to me and share it with the group, and we learn from each other.
Well, I think as a team, we on different levels, we may look at our day-to-day interaction where we have our daily rounds and we identify some of the different patients that we need to maybe change a care plan or make some different changes for them. But in a more formal way, we've also been doing, I'm involved with the team is involved with the Care Matters, and through that we've identified some important changes that we can make.
For example, today we had some discussions about patients who come into the acute stroke unit, and then as they move through to high intensity rehab, there may be some challenges around swallowing that haven't been met, or how we are going to meet those. So our speech language pathologists can have conversations with each other about how we might propose changes to how we do things as a greater team. And so
So when we talk about visioning, I think visioning is very much a collaborative process. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in the Surrey Redevelopment and the Neurology Unit, which houses our new stroke unit as of June 2014. And during the process of planning the stroke unit, we've had the opportunity to collaborate with my frontline staff about our goals, our visions, and the way that we want to do business down the road. And so this has given me a really great opportunity and some insight as to how we can move forward not only at the unit level, but also at the regional level by including our clinical frontline staff along with our leadership in our development of our vision for the future.
Well, I think that we need to engage the frontline physician, allied health and nursing staff in the actual development of new quality improvement activities, because once you have people actually in the development process working together, you'll get a lot more buy-in and motivation to actually use the new
About
equality.
is to support clinicians in their individual clinical development. What we do as a READY program is twice a year we get all the clinicians in the room together, which is why we're here right now, to focus on what are the learning needs and what supports do they have available.
We don't have a regional practice leader, but we do have a group of practice leaders who are all speech-language pathology practice leaders, and we meet and we do an annual planning session to set our own direction and goals.
So leadership to me is a collaborative process. I think we have leaders at all levels. When I sit here in my position as manager, I look at leadership as a collaborative process with my frontline team as we develop strategies in order to meet best patient care.
So I think everyday speech pathologists are leaders. And then at a different level, we have someone like myself who's in a practice leadership position. So then I might be taking down barriers so that these great ideas can move ahead, or opening up.
Each program is responsible for their overall operations, financially, fiscally being responsible, and looking at what their resources are. And so sometimes we might have a challenge where within the stroke steering we see that a particular strategy is our priority, but within a program as a whole that might not surface to the top as a priority because they've got so many demands within the service. So I would say overall it works really well. We have really good relationships. Everybody is really focused on stroke, but the ideal would be to match the strategy and the operations together so that the priorities come together as one service.